Hey everyone, it's Johnny, your independent Scentsy consultant. Welcome back to my channel, and today we are going to be talking about some of the returning fall and winter fragrances in our new 2022 fall-winter catalog. So we have gone over the new releases and the first sniffs, so I will mention those as we periodically go through the different categories. This video will focus on the spice category. Something that I'm going to do a little bit differently from previous times is not focus on scents that are continuing over from the spring and summer catalog. So there's not a ton of them, but I will touch base on them, but I will spend the time focusing on the new and returning fragrances for the catalog season, because it's like, how many times do I have to tell you what Luna smells like? I mean, I think everyone, unless you're new to Scentsy, probably has an idea of what I feel about Luna. By the way, I love it. And how, you know, it performs and all that sort of stuff. So let's kind of go through this. We're going to focus on the spice category for this video. And each video will be broken down by category. So you feel free to watch any and all or none of them or just the one you're looking for. Hopefully it helps you out. And again, I'm sorry that I got these out a little bit later than I expected. Just sometimes life happens, you know? You gotta work around it. So without further ado, let's start. So our first one returning is apple and cinnamon sticks. This is apple peel, spiced white pumpkin. I'm gonna try to find it as I talk about this. And a touch of oak. So apple peel, white pumpkin, and a touch of oak. A little red. I do get the apple peel. It's definitely more of a mellow apple. It's not like a Johnny Appleseed fruity, juicy apple. You're definitely more on the apple peel note. So it gives it not really a tart, but more warm tone to the apple, and it's not overly fruity. You do get cinnamon in this. This is more of a bakery cinnamon stick than a red hot cinnamon stick. And I think that's balanced out by the hints of oak in here. And the whole spiced white pumpkin thing, I mean, I don't know if I really smell white pumpkin. I can get a hint maybe if I like really strain myself to believe that there's white pumpkin in here. But this is mostly like a muted apple scent with a sort of bakery cinnamon. And it's really nice. I'm not a huge cinnamon fan. You will find as we go through this category that I'm just gonna like hate on cinnamon all day long. And it's not because I don't love eating cinnamon, but I just don't love having the house permeate of cinnamon. Like, that's just not for me. Like, I'm not a spice person in that sense, but I do appreciate a good balanced spice scent. So this is a very simple scent, but it works really well. So if you're looking for something that is going to give you that really nice fall sort of appeal without being anything crazy intricate or, you know, way out there, this might be one to consider picking up. So I like it. I don't have it in my club. It's a nice scent. I won't miss it if it ever goes away, but you know, I feel like apple and cinnamon is a very common scent to begin with. But Scentsy does it well, so I'll say that much. Next up, we have Autumn Hearth. This is Cue Up a Classic. Apple, cinnamon, and tonka are all about fall. My goodness, here we go. So find the little testers. Okay. Oh yeah. So again, as you might gather from the scent notes, this is another apple cinnamon scent. Tonka bean is kind of like a sweet scent. It gives like either a cherry or a vanilla tone to a scent. And a kind of coziness. This is a more dime a dozen apple cinnamon scent, but it's a little bit more spice heavy than apple and cinnamon sticks is. So that one's a little bit more apple centric with the cinnamon and the other notes kind of mellowing in the background. This is more spice like heavy in that sense. And if you think of like a Hearth, this isn't a smoky, like embery sort of scent, but it does give that sort of nod to a little bit more nose tingling spice. So if you are not a huge spice fanatic, this may not be your apple cinnamon combination to go to. But if you're more of a spice person, you might enjoy this one. I can live without that one. Next up is one of the banes of my existence, Autumn Sunset. I shouldn't give it that much credit, but I very strongly dislike it, and I don't really want to smell it. But I will do it for you guys if I can find it. There it is. I don't know why we don't use Autumn Sunrise instead of Autumn Sunset. I think it's a far better scent, but this is the one that keeps coming back for whatever reason. So this is described as apples, pumpkins, shocking I know, fall leaves, and spices, a top 10 fragrance. For all of those people who, for whatever reason, find this a top 10 fragrance, please just buy all of it, put it in your club, and pray that it never comes back. Nope, can't do it. Ooh, no. So this is not just a sweet apples and pumpkin scent. This is like pumpkin heavy, and then you get like that sort of dried, earthy leaf note, like fallen, crisp, dried leaves, and then spice with a hint of apple in the background. So it's kind of like earthy leaves and spices with a kind of nauseating orange pumpkin scent, and then apples. It gives me a little bit of craft store vibes, but not enough for me to be like, oh, this is like going into a craft store. This is like the craft store from like Nightmare on Elm Street. Like you go in there and you're just like, oh my gosh, I'm gonna vomit from all of this magical crafty joy. Yeah, this is a scent that I will not warm anymore. Do not pass go, do not collect 200 with me. This is one of the few scents where it makes me a bit queasy to smell it. So if it is one that you love and it's like one of your ride or die scents, again, more power to you. Please just don't ever warm it if I'm visiting you under whatever random circumstance I happen to be there, because I will not be a happy camper. Next up is Blackberry Spice. This is one of our new releases. This is ripe blackberry bundled up with cedarwood and fresh clove. I went into depth on this in our new releases, so I'll just kind of like summarize right here. I think this is a really nice scent. I love that it's a clove spice rather than a cinnamon spice. We get a lot of, you know, fruit and leaves or fresh air and cinnamon. It's like cinnamon, cinnamon, cinnamon. And I'm so thankful that Scentsy chose to go for at least clove in this. And it's a really nice combination. You do get a lot of the rich blackberry scent, which I adore. And then you do get that woody undertone from the cedar wood. So this is almost, I almost would say that this is more of a woodsy, fruity scent than it is a spice scent, even though it's in the spice category. Now, I haven't warmed it yet, so I can't really fully comment on it, but on cold, that's kind of what I'm picking up. And for a spice category scent, I actually really enjoy this one. So we'll see. I'm really excited to see how this warms. I'm, again, not quite in the mood to be doing like fall scents just yet. I know we just like started August, so give me a little time, but that would be one to put your radars on. All right, next we have Christmas Cottage. This is returning. This is a cozy, inviting blend of Valencia oranges, raspberries, cloves, and spices. Is it though? I don't remember it being all of those things. But I do smell the oranges. I don't necessarily get a whole lot of raspberry. Mostly orange. I do get cloves. I do get like some like simmering spices. This kind of gives me like not quite a pomander sort of like scent, like the orange pomander sort of concept. It's not quite as like pungent as one of those, but you do get that like quasi orange citrus spice sort of scent going on. It's like a very muted pomander. It's not a sweet orange. It's more of like a citrusy, not quite tart, but like mellow orange. It has a little bit of a bite to it though. And like, again, this is like if you had a boiling water on the stove or whatever, and you threw in like the different spices and simmered them, and you had this orange going in. I feel like that's what this is kind of emulate. It also gives a little bit of a craft store vibe. If you go into somewhere like, maybe more of like a Hobby Lobby than a Michael's, because I feel like Michael's tends to be a little bit more potpourri than spice. But that's my 2 cents there. Next, we have Cider Mill. This is returning. This is a great scent. Bring together fresh apple, crushed pumpkin, and simmering spices for a cozy autumn treat. So, this scent, I have a bone to pick with this scent. I still do. So when it starts warming, you get like the fresh apples and pumpkins. And when we had it in cleaning product and dish soap, you get the fresh apples and pumpkins. Like, great, smells great, hint of spice in the background, no big deal. Every time I warm this, without fail, it starts out with apples and pumpkins, like the fresh apples and pumpkins, great, love it. And about, I don't know, an hour or so into warming, it just mellows down into this cider scent. And it's like a spicy cider scent, and I just don't like it. And so it's like I can warm this until it gets to that point, and then I have to take it out of my warmers because then I just don't like smelling it anymore. And for me, that's kind of a bummer because I like the initial onset of it, and like in room sprays, I don't mind it. But like once it just like loses that blend, it just doesn't do it for me. Like it just becomes too cider spice, and it's just like, no thanks. I feel like there's better options. I know this is a great favorite, but like I said, I prefer this in products where it doesn't like change scent profiles over time with warming. All right, next we have Cinnamon Bear. I'm not gonna smell this because I know what it smells like. This is just red hot cinnamon. Like if you like red hot cinnamon, or like those red hots or whatever they're called, gum, that's basically all this is. This is not bakery cinnamon, it's not sweet cinnamon, it's not like mellow, this is just straight up red hot cinnamon. And it's strong and it performs well, don't get me wrong. And I know some people love this scent. Can't stand this. Don't need this in my life. That's all it is. So, it is described as crisp, spicy cinnamon with a touch of cloves. Maybe there's a touch of cloves in there. Mostly spicy cinnamon. All right. Speaking of cloves, the next scent that is coming back is Clove and Cinnamon. This is the classic scent of cinnamon sticks fused with cloves. And honestly, that's what this is. This is if you go to like Michael's and you get like those pine cones that are scented with cinnamon sticks for the fall or whatever for winter, like the acorn, whatever they are. And it's just like cloves and cinnamon sticks. That's all it is. It's a good scent. It's a very classic scent. I think they nailed it there, and there's not much else to it. So if you're looking for something unique or depth of dimension, this isn't it. It's like one of those safe scents that I feel like almost any or a very large majority of wax-based companies will have their clove and cinnamon variant that's just that. So that's kind of what it is. It is balanced between the two, so you do get equal parts of both, but if you're not into either of those spices specifically, maybe not for you. All right, next we have Dancing Sugar Plum. So it's kind of nice to see this one back. Okay, so this is Rich Spiced Plum, falls right in step with the visions of vanilla and sweet cinnamon apple. It's a lot. Okay, so I do get the plum. Spiced plum, I feel like that's a stretch. It's definitely more of like a sweeter plum to me. I think the apple note underneath that definitely lightens it. This is not straight up apple though, so don't worry if you're like, I want like a sweeter plum. It's in there. Even though it's a spiced plum, this is a sweeter scent. This to me is kind of like a rich, semi-sweet plum with cinnamon sugar and like a little hint of musk. Like, I know that's not what the description says, but that's what I get out of it. I don't get the visions of vanilla that they're talking about. I think that's hocus pocus, honestly. This is definitely more like a sweet or a semi-sweet plum, deep, rich plum, mind you, deep color, like not a like light sort of tone. And then you get that apple, and I guess cinnamon apple makes sense because if they're saying sweet cinnamon apple, I imagine like an apple dusted or apples and plums dusted with cinnamon sugar, not just cinnamon. And that's what this is to me. It's a great scent. It's not in my club. I do like it. I don't necessarily love it that much, but I enjoy it. This is one that I don't mind picking up and, you know, enjoying for the holiday season. If you like plum scents, check that one out. Next up, we have Farm Stand Pumpkin, which I don't know why it's in the spice category because it's not really a spicy scent at all. No. Oh, so This is described as an indulgent notes of fresh apple, cinnamon stick, pumpkin, and caramel. The pumpkin is the cinnamon stick is so non-existent in this. It's like a hint of cinnamon in the background. And it's like, I would say like a bakery cinnamon stick. This is not a red hot. It's not a spicy cinnamon. But you mainly get the pumpkin. You get that apple undertone, which gives it a sweeter tone as opposed to being like the heavy sort of gourd-like pumpkin scent that sometimes can be a little overwhelming. Like think pumpkin pie, but just like the pumpkin filling. And you do get a sweet undertone of caramel that really kind of elevates it, and it gives it a nice balanced fragrance. This isn't my favorite fragrance because I'm not a huge pumpkin person, but I enjoy this scent, and I think it's a really nicely balanced one. So again, it's not my favorite, but I don't mind warming this. And sometimes when I'm in like more of that pumpkin-y mood, this does have enough of a balance between the other sweet notes that pumpkin isn't just the predominant one. That being said, I don't think this is a spice category scent. I really don't understand why it's in the spice category, personally. I think it's more bakery than it is spice, personally, but I guess because there's cinnamon stick in it, supposedly, it comes into this category. So, there's that. Moving on. First Day of Fall. This is another returning bestseller. All the best parts of fall are here. Just picked pumpkin, a breath of autumn woods, ground nutmeg, and a spicy dash of cinnamon. So, I like the scent. I like that there is an autumn woods note to this. It gives it a fresh, tone to it that is a little bit different from the other ones in this category as I fling it at myself. You do get the nutmeg. So if you do not like nutmeg, this scent is probably not going to be one for you. It's not overwhelming, but you definitely smell that it's there. As far as the dash of cinnamon, you maybe get a little bit of cinnamon, but this is more nutmeg than cinnamon. And so in that sense, like, it's kind of like, I wonder for how many of these they just threw in a little bit of cinnamon just for kicks and giggles. But again, you do get a lot of the autumnal woods. You get that, like, fresh pumpkin, but it's not overwhelming. So if you're not a huge pumpkin person, you're not going to be, like, utterly disappointed. It's kind of balanced in there. But I really like that they chose to use nutmeg in this. I think it gives it a different twist, and it's, really nice, and a nice kind of like change to the apple and cinnamon sort of concept. All right, next we have Harvest Blessings. This is Radiant Apple, Spiced Pumpkin, and Smooth Oak embody everything you love about autumn. Radiant Apple, Spiced Pumpkin, and Smooth Oak. Yes, so you get this oak and undertone. Oak is a very interesting scent to me. It can either be very earth and dirt-like, or it can be a little bit more refined and woody. I would say that this is a little bit more of on the earthen tone of oak. You do get a spiced pumpkin note that is fairly predominant with the undertone of oak. And apple is in there, but Radiant Apple, it's kind of like a sun-kissed apple. It's not a Johnny Appleseed apple. So you're going to get a sweetness, but it's kind of like tempered a bit by the type of apple. It's not just a straight-up juicy apple. So, think of this as like a baked apples, you know, like if you took in baked apples and some cinnamon spices, that kind of apple tone rather than like a straight up fresh apple. You do get, like I said, the spiced pumpkin in this, so if you're not a big pumpkin person, this might not go over so well, but the oak does round it out a little bit and give that sort of undertone, dirt, earthy note. It sounds weird, but it works. It's a great scent. Again, I enjoy this scent. I'm not like, gotta run to the bank and get a bunch of it, but it's a good scent. All right, next we have Maple Apple Bourbon. This is a juicy red apple and rich maple get in the holiday spirit with a splash of bourbon. That's not wrong. So you do get a lot of maple in this, and you do get a lot of bourbon. The apple, not so much. You do get it in there, but it's not the main player. Maple and bourbon are the two big, strong scents that are competing in here. Apple just kind of like bridges them and marries them together so that they don't just kind of smell like sweet and, I don't know, spicy altogether. But if you're not a bourbon person, if you're not a maple person, stay clear from this scent. Because you'll get both of those in a pretty reasonably large dose underneath the apple tone. Like, and the apple won't drown it out. It'll be there to kind of like lift it up and kind of temper it a little bit. But you'll smell both of them. It's a great performer. It's not in my club, but, you know, I've kind of picky with like the bourbon scents that I like. I wasn't even like super huge on the vanilla bourbon scent that we had for the Father's Day collection. Like, I didn't mind it, but it didn't quite work for me. So, moving on, pumpkin chai is next. Fill your cup with white pumpkin, excuse me, a swirl of cinnamon, and a dash of chai. Yeah, I am not a huge fan of white pumpkin, I found. I actually like orange pumpkin more than I like white pumpkin in terms of scent. That being said, you do get white pumpkin, you do get cinnamon, and you do get the chai spice, which is like that cardamom, like earthen spices. It is a great scent. It is not very creamy though. So if you're looking up for like a pumpkin latte sort of scent, you're going to need to mix this with like a vanilla bean buttercream or sugar cookie or something that has more of a creamy note in it that can kind of offset just the heavy spice and pumpkin notes. But it is what it says it is, pumpkin chai. So there is that. Ooh, excuse me. All right. The next one we're going to look at is Pumpkin Cinnamon Swirl. I do love this one. Fresh pumpkin garnished with cinnamon stick and a dollop of whipped icing. This is basically like a pumpkin cinnamon. That's the best way I can describe it. Yep. It is literally a sweet cinnamon bun with a pumpkin tone to it. And the pumpkin isn't so overwhelming that you're just like, it's pumpkin with a little bit of bakery. Like, this is more to a bakery scent to me than it is spice. I get why, because it's cinnamon swirl, but this is a sweet bakery cinnamon roll that you get at Cinnabon, and it's delightful. This one I have no problem warming, and like I said, I'm not a big cinnamon person, but this one, oh man, I love this one, especially like warming it in the first thing in the morning. So good. All right, moving on. Spiced Ember Glow is next. This is another returning one. This is smoked apple and toasted vanilla over cinnamon embers offer a warm and inviting escape. And this is a sweet, heavy, spicy sort of like fiery place kind of scent. It's not around the campfire where it's more like, where that one's more smoky. This one is more spice, more smoldering embers sort of smoke rather than like campfire smoke. So it does give you that kind of like you're sitting around the fireplace and like the bricks heated up and all that. It does kind of set that mood. But it is a heavy scent. I'm not gonna sugarcoat this. This is a heavy scent. It will make the air feel heavy. I remember warming it. It was like, it just made the air feel very dense. And it's just because the scent profile of it is very good at mirroring what that's supposed to, like that scent profile is going to evoke. And it does it really well, but it's kind of strong. So just be aware of it. If you're going to warm it, maybe stick with fewer cubes than you'd normally do, or cut a cube in half or something if you're really sensitive. Because it does perform well, and it does kind of just give a density to the room. So just be aware of that. And then the final spice one is Welcome Home. That's a returning one. Warm and welcoming with cinnamon and spices. That's like your craft store, cozy, spicy home sort of scent. Very generic. I feel like almost every brand that I've looked at has some variant on a Welcome Home sort of kind of scent, or it's home or whatever it is. It's forgettable. It's a good scent, but it's a very basic scent in terms of like what you could find here. So In summary, from the spice category, things that I personally am either really interested in or am curious to try. I'm really interested on the new release, the Blackberry Spice. I think if that one works really well, that might be club worthy for me. I love Pumpkin Cinnamon Swirl. That is one that is in my club. A lot of the other ones I've kind of pulled. If you want something that is just a nice tried and true, apple and cinnamon sticks really works out nicely. I think that's the better one of the variants of apple and cinnamon in the catalog right now, at least in the spice category. And then between Harvest Blessings and First Day of Fall, I think they're both good in their own ways. They're both kind of woodsy, fruity, hint of spice sort of sense. The big thing is they warm a little bit differently. One's a little bit more on the nutmeg side, one's more on like the wood oak earthen side. So that's like the big difference there. But otherwise they have some similarities. One is a little bit more fresh pumpkin, one versus spiced pumpkin in the other one. But beyond that, they're similar but different. Let's put it that way. And that's kind of the spice category. Like I said, it's not my favorite category of all of them, especially in the fall and winter. I feel like it does get overwhelmed with a lot of cinnamon-based scents, but it's par for the course, unfortunately, in terms of spices. I mean, we don't go around using a lot of different random spices like oregano in the middle of winter, so it's not like I expect to have like apples and oregano, although that might be a very interesting combo, not gonna lie. Anyways, hopefully this was helpful. Let me know if you like any particular scents in the spice category, or if there are any ones that you're interested in trying if you haven't really tried any of them yet. If you're new here, consider subscribing. And if you enjoyed this, hopefully I'll see you guys in our next video. Take care, guys. Bye.